No comment.
Donald Trump is officially speaking at Bitcoin Nashville. What is the price of Bitcoin going to do? Are we getting ready to onboard the masses into BTC? We'll have that discussion. Also, CPI numbers came in. We are almost going to break below 3%. So why have the markets not moved as CPI came in under what the forecast was? What has gone up? What has gone down? And is play to earn the next big wave to make you a lot of money? Hamster Combat has been absolutely popular. So has Notcoin. There's two other ones that we potentially have our eye on that might be able to make you a lot of money. We'll have that discussion. Also, Germany is almost done with their Bitcoin ETFs, or with their Bitcoin selling, as their cold wallet is almost down to zero. Does this mean the markets are getting ready to turn around? We have some Polygon news, and the SEC has officially dropped their Wells notice into BUSD and Paxos. What does that mean for Binance? Is BUSD coming back? We'll talk about that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we're not doing the hola. Rocco and I had a discussion prior to the show. We're like, hola? He's like, nah.
No, I'm gonna do my own thing. That's yeah.
No,
Let's take away from that.
I feel like the next few days without Robin, I think it's our time to really bump
It's a let's shine, for once. Let's shine
together.
together.
Maybe I can bring you on my
Maybe
side.
unless you bring it up XRP, but
Okay, I promise to stay away from XRP unless it's really big news. We're Sin Robin today, but we're plus Rocco and plus Forrest, who is joining us. Forrest, what's up, brother? How you doing? Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, what's up? Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for thank you for joining us. We didn't want to wait till Friday, and so you are our go-to guy when we need some extra expertise or we need some extra insight. So we're super excited to have you joining us today, gentlemen. I said it at the very top of the intro. It is absolutely official. The former and potentially future president of the United States of America, Donald Trump, will be speaking at the world's largest Bitcoin conference this month. That is, of course, Bitcoin Nashville. There was a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation. It is official. He is speaking. How big is this? And what do you think is going to come out of this? Are some positives, negatives for us? I'll start with you first. I know you kind of went on a tweet storm a little bit yesterday, but what's your initial thought? Are you surprised? Well, what's kind of your thoughts here?
Trump coin to the moon, right? Look, I mean, he's a pro crypto, like crypto for the last 4 years, right? This administration, and then the prior 4 years that crypto wasn't necessarily large enough to going into like 2019, 2020, 2021, it started getting big. Like last market cycle peaked in like 2021. Which was under this administration. This administration that we currently have has been just horrendously opposed to crypto and the proliferation of crypto. They have not been friendly whatsoever. So this would be the first administration where we see a friendly stance towards crypto. This would be like the first time crypto has existed, been large enough to exist and be affected by regulation, but we're going to see positive regulation and support for crypto rather than opposition that we're getting from the current administration. So I think it's a wrap. Personally, I think the election's as good as over. But I mean, I think it's super bullish for crypto. An administration rolling in that's going to be pro crypto.
I've always had this conversation, whether it's with myself or with my colleagues here in the studio, is, the last market cycle was a little weird, right? We had that weird double top, and I always kind of pointed to the Sam Bankman-Fried thing and manipulation. But, you said something just now that kind of got me thinking. The second top was towards the end of November, right? In 2021, we had our first top really kind of early 2021, and then November was that final 69K. 2021 was also the first year that the administration changed. And towards the end is when we started seeing what Gary Gensler and the SEC were really going to do. Did that hamper the bull run? Because I think I don't know about you, Forrest or Rocco, but for me, it's like it just we didn't see the acceleration after that. Like that dip we saw after the first, what was it 59, 60K? We saw a big 50% correction, and then we only rallied up to 69,000, and that was the top. And we went into a bear market and everything crumbled. Could the administration change have been what caused the cycle to either be shortened or the cycle to be hampered? Rocco, what are your thoughts on Mr. Trump speaking at the convention and what that means for people's excitement?
Definitely the tone is changing. That's, is the thing's going to look legit now. And imagine how this is going to look around the world. A former president talking at a Bitcoin conference for the first time. When, if you were going 4 years ago, the conference was ghost town. So that's the difference that now this event is going to bring to the eyes of the whole world. So I think the sentiment is changing and changing for the good, not only for Bitcoin, but for the entire crypto ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's definitely a positive element. And it's going to just get better and better. And you will see also company and jumping finally, without talking about like Elizabeth Warren about all this money laundering and everything else. So finally,
Terrorist financing.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Does it bring legitimacy to our space? I kind of think it does, but either way, I think the crypto people with their voices, resources, and money have gotten loud enough to the point where it's put some fear into some of these politicians. Like,
Gary Gensler?
Yeah, go against our space at your own risk. We got money and we're pretty loud, and we flipped a few people, including the former president. Speaking of the former president, he call it pandering, call it campaign promises. I don't know, but he said, quote, "They hate Bitcoin because they can't control it. I'm a huge fan of Bitcoin. I will back the US dollar with Bitcoin." I don't know how I feel about that. I think that's more pandering, But hey, who knows? Do you think this is even possible for us back in the dollar with Bitcoin? I mean, what are your thoughts here? You think he's just kind of pandering to get votes?
I think that's fake. I think that was totally a fake tweet. I don't think he really said that at all.
Really?
Could be wrong on that, but if he did, then that's just obviously super bullish for crypto. I know RFK said something. RFK Jr. said something about backing the dollar with a basket of assets. Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset for the United States would obviously be super bullish. You see what $3 billion worth of selling from Germany is doing. Talk about $50 to $100 billion worth of buying from the United States. To establish it as a strategic reserve asset, what that would do to the price. Not something I'm putting a lot of stock into though, because I haven't seen a legitimate source on that tweet. I don't think he's said that. We'll see if he says that though at the Bitcoin conference. That could be a super bullish moment for crypto if he does say something along those lines.
Yeah. This year, the hype for the conference is massive. I mean, typically, as a podcast studio, media company, we're able to get media passes, and we're having a really hard time getting them, especially after this announcement came yesterday. And so it's going to be a big event. I know Rocco and Rob will be there. I'm still on the fence because I'm supposed to be going to New York, but I might be tweaking my plans a little bit. But it's definitely something that's garnering a lot of hype. And coming out of it, what kind of announcements are we going to see? We know we're going to have Donald Trump there. We're going to have another presidential candidate, RFK Jr. there. A potential future politician. Some even say a potential vice president. Vivek is going to be there, also coming out as pro Bitcoin and crypto, along with other senators, Cynthia Lummis, obviously the Michael Saylors. It's going to be a big event. And is it going to put Bitcoin and crypto on the map? We take a look at how the price of Bitcoin has reacted off the Trump news. Nothing. It's done nothing. Flat. On the 1 hour, 24 hour, on the 7 day, $57,800. That is where we're sitting at. I do want to talk about the ETF flows. So we saw 2 consecutive days of $200 million plus ETF flows. Very strong start to the week so far. Friday ended with $143 million of inflows. And then yesterday, we saw another 150 flow into the ETFs with Fidelity leading the way at $57.8 million. And Well, you see from these other ETF issuers, let's say the Valkyrie one, just 000, finally woke up with $20.7 million of inflows, 31.7 million from, I believe this is the Franklin Templeton product. BitGo, Invesco, there got 9.5 million. ARK had 5.7 million, Bitwise 4.7, and BlackRock 22.2 million. And almost more importantly, Grayscale only saw outflows of around $8.2 million. Forrest, do you think we're this trend of $100 million plus inflows for the ETF is going to continue? Maybe as long as Bitcoin stays under 60K, or the sentiment is changing, or what are your thoughts on these inflows and what are you expecting moving forward?
Yeah, they're just buying the blood, right? TradFi has been rewarded for decades for buying dips, right? They have longer term time horizons. They're happy to buy, corrections and things that they believe in and hold on to it. Also just think it's a sign that people are actually still hungry for Bitcoin, hungry for crypto on the TradFi side, and not necessarily worried about the sell-offs that are happening. I think to me, it's pretty obvious that these sell-offs are like a one-time event. The Germany Bitcoin and Mt. Gox distributions, those are like just very rare forced selling opportunities. Usually you want to be a buyer of forced selling. I think, once we get through, both the Mt. Gox distribution and the Germany sell-off, then we've potentially got a really good setup, to go higher in crypto. So I think these buyers are just, smart buying the dip, buying the blood when sentiment's down. And when we get, the FTX distributions of $15 billion in Q4, I think a lot of these people will be turning around and selling into that for a profit.
We kind of talked about this potential portfolio rebalancing from Wall Street. You have a 5% allocated, the price drops and your allocation drops to 4%, you're going to make it up and buy to get back up to that 5%, and vice versa as well. We talked about this kind of yesterday a little bit, but, bringing the volatility down and making Bitcoin a more stable asset, if you want to use that word stable, but pretty interesting. Before I move forward, I want to give a big thank you. Today's show is brought to you by Legacy Network. Legacy just got an update from the Discord. They're awaiting final review to launch the app on iOS. I believe Android is coming in the next few days. Super excited to show you guys what Legacy Network has been working on over the last year or so. And so if you want more information on Legacy Network and how you can better yourself, game to earn, play to earn, and make money at the same time, click the link in the description of this video. Now, CPI numbers are out. The markets didn't really react as everyone thought it would, right? I mean, we came in under what was forecasted, which was 3.1. We came in at 3.0. That is the headline CPI inflation. Core came in at 3.3, also 0.1 under estimations. So expected was 3.4. We came in at 3.3. The biggest drawdowns, as far as it's a good thing, is used cars and trucks down 10%. But here's a big one that I feel like is super important that maybe a lot of people don't pay attention to, is motor vehicle insurance. That is still up 20% year over year. Now, why is that important? Because it is legally, by law, you have to have motor vehicle insurance. So this is something that everyone has to have, and it's up 20% year over year, and it's been up more than 20% year over year for the past year or so. And so I know for me personally, mine has gone up more than 20%. We see what's happening in like Florida, California. Insurers are leaving the state or refusing to insure people's homes, sometimes people's property. And so this is something that I think is putting a negative price pressure on the average person. And then this from the Kobayashi letter, just to kind of put it into more perspective again, 3.1 expected, came in at 3. Core 3.4 came in at 3.3. This marks the 39th consecutive month with inflation at or above 3%. But it is also the third straight month with declining CPI numbers. So we take a look at, well, what is the CME expecting the Fed to do? So we were at over 95% for a rate cut in the July meeting. That is down to 91%. And if we take a look at the September meeting, 85% of people now believe that we will get a rate cut in the month of September. So very interesting. Rocco, do you have any thoughts on the inflation numbers and
Yeah, I think that I mean it's great. The number they look they're down, but
do you believe the numbers?
no, they're fudge. Those numbers are
fudge
definitely
numbers.
fake. I don't know how they come up with this number in such a short period. Everything is now getting toward November. Everything is getting better, and the shiner is nice.
You know what they literally do? They literally take a clipboard and they'll go business to business and be like, did you raise prices on this last? Yes, I did. Okay, how much?
Did you
Okay.
feel like that it was like a 3% cut on your expenses when you went
No.
to grocery store? I don't feel anything.
I don't buy
It's
it.
been like this for the past year and a half.
Yeah, I don't buy into the CPI numbers. We know that this is the first year they changed it from a 2-year window of prices adjusting to one. And what did that do? We saw 2022 in what was it, July or June, where we got to that 9.1%. Well, that is no longer factored into this year's CPI numbers because they changed it from a 2-year look back to 1 year. And we all know they change the basket of goods every year. So if steak was expensive last year and people stopped buying, well, guess what? This year, the price of steak will not be tracked. It'll be the price of ramen or canned tuna or whatever people were buying the most of. So the numbers are completely fudged. But at the end of the day, the traders, Wall Street, these algorithm bots, these high frequency traders, they look at these numbers, these headlines, and that is what they use to execute trades. But again, markets haven't really moved. Forrest, what are your thoughts on the CPI numbers? And then can you pull up a S&P or a NASDAQ chart and take a look at how the traditional markets reacted? And then obviously we talked about how the crypto markets reacted. They didn't really react. So what are your thoughts, Forrest?
Yeah, let me pull real quick. I'll share my screen here. Boom. Good to go. Here we are. Yeah, so important thing to note here on the trad side of things. On the left, or in the orange here, is IWM, the Russell 2000. So obviously, that's going to include much more low caps as compared to the S&P 500, which is only going to be the top 500. So we actually saw the Russell 2000 go through the roof % on the day, where the S&P 500 has been crushing it for like the last week straight, but then on the CPI news dropped down significantly. So it looks like there's been a balancing in the market from large caps, right? Recently, the only thing that's been doing really like the top five, the entire 100 has been kind of carried by the large cap stocks, the Apples, the Nvidias, the Microsofts, the things that are have like very, very robust business models that are not seen as risky because they're for so long and they have so much staying power and market share. But as we start to see and can survive inflation, right? You don't expect Apple out of business just because inflation is high. They have tons of cash, right? They're fine. But you start to worry about some of the smaller companies that aren't as robust and don't have the staying power that Apple has. Well, with inflation going back down, that's a decent sign for low caps, for smaller companies. That this inflation, this inflation problem's starting to course correct, and all of a sudden overnight, I think that inflation is going down due to these CPI numbers. The risk smaller companies be attractive, right? So that's why we see the Russell 2000 spiking, pulling profits out of some of these larger corporations, larger stocks like Nvidia and Apple and Tesla. That they're not only taking profits, but they're also they've been a little bit probably overpriced, a little bit. People kind of hiding. There can some of these larger, more robust companies, larger corporations, and driving the prices up on them. So in correction in that, and the money flowing over into low caps. So that's hopefully that made sense.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. And like I said, I personally, I don't believe you see those videos on like X of, hey, this was my cart of food I ordered in 2022. I'm just going to press reorder, and the price went up like 50%. So people are struggling. I know my grocery bill's gone up. I can just talk from an anecdotal standpoint. I probably spend 30% more a month on groceries. Also, probably because my kids are out of school, and so when they get bored, all they do is eat. If you have kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
When they go to school, you don't feed them.
Well,
just keep okay. You go to school.
The school feeds them.
You gotta,
Oh, they stay home and during the day, and they're bored. Dad, I'm bored, and they just go in the fridge, snack after snack after snack. I'm like, I swear to God, I'm gonna cut you
It's
out.
just like you when you do the same thing on the fridge right here. It's just
There's
they
no
take-
snacks in the fridge. Bro.
well,
Also
there
gotta buy more-
there is nothing on the fridge because of you.
That's true. We also got to buy more Capri Suns for our producer Ashley. Ashley, how you doing back there?
I'm okay. How are you?
Okay. I'm great.
Great.
No, we gave Ashley's been learning more crypto, more Bitcoin.
I have.
Gave her a book, so we're excited to see her progress.
I don't know how to read, but I'll try to figure it out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We also have coloring books.
Ooh.
All right, let's talk about this. So this is on your thumbnail. Here, let's show them the thumbnail. A little cute little hamster there. So is the new meta tap to earn, play to earn, game to earn? Let's take a look at a couple articles here. So Telegram CEO Pavel Durov predicts hamster combat will attract millions to the blockchain. And you can see here, 239 million people have already signed up to be a part of the game. Tap, 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 make money. Tap, 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 make money. Now, we have a couple new ones. This one here. So Web3 firm Bondex reveals new Telegram game with $1 million in rewards. Name of the game is going to be Bunny Blitz. So according to Bondex CEO Ignacio Palomera, the game is backed by the equivalent of $1 million in their BDXN token, which is the native token of their network, and will be paid to players as a reward for completing daily tasks. The Bondex app has been downloaded 4 million times since 2021, with 500,000 people using the app daily, which is pretty big. Palomera said the company's gaming approach infuses the seriousness of recruitment with the fun side of life through gaming. Now, if you're not familiar with Bondex, think of them like a Web3 equivalent of Telegram. So you have that new Telegram app launching, right? They already have a pretty big user base. And then you have something new on SHIB launching. So this talks about Notcoin kind of falling off. And well, SHIB, a new game called Shiba Shootout, it's an interactive crypto gaming experience that is brimming with Tinderbox potential this year. So Forrest, I want to ask you, is the hamster combat style game, the tap to earn, play to earn, is that the new meta for the next few weeks? And do either of these games, is it worth it to kind of take a closer look at? And what are your kind of thoughts in general of the success of hamster combat?
To be honest, not piquing my interest for a couple of reasons. Like it's really hard to make a viral game that a lot of people like to play. Two, if those numbers are accurate, 239 million people, which I don't believe those numbers, that is absurd. That is just absolutely insane numbers to have for a
like the whole population of America.
Yeah, I just don't believe it. And if it is true, then I think it's mostly bots, people trying to bot like an airdrop. And if people are trying to bot, if there's 239 million people trying to bot an airdrop or trying to participate in this, right? That's your denominator. Like, how much money is there to go around? Like split across 239 million people if you're trying to farm an airdrop. I just don't, and then if those 9 million people are infusing money into the game and spending money on the game, like it's really difficult to build a game that like makes people want to spend money. And then why would the makers of this game share any of that money with you or token holders? Why would they not just keep all of that money for themselves? I'm not big on blockchain gaming, to be honest. I don't think the model has been cracked. I think one day, we'll have a great example of a viral game that gets the model of, Web3 gaming and that gets the tokenomics and token ecosystem correct. But we have yet to see that in any form or fashion that is sustainable. We've had we had STEPN and we had Axie Infinity. Nothing's really driven a lot of virality and long-term value to players or holders of the token thus far. So until we see an example of that, it's hard for me to get excited about blockchain gaming. 99.99% of them have just been duds. And the ones that have succeeded, the success has been very temporary and not sustainable, like the examples of STEPN and Axie Infinity and whatnot.
So you're fading this completely?
Yeah, 1,000% fading.
Do you think this is a little different from Axie Infinity since that platform where they're built from? I mean, there is a lot of community in there.
I think the big thing
is a different one.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is you don't like Axie Infinity. You got to go and get the game and play it. I
But
think,
you don't have all the Telegram. I mean, all the platform, the media platform behind. I don't know. I'll give you an example. Where's Tomorrow X Twitter comes out with something similar to that.
yeah, that's what
I mean, how big that things can be, and in places like in the rest of the world where they know even making $1 or $2 a day is actually money. Well, how much money is going to bring it in? I don't know. Just different concept.
Yeah, and
bigger scale.
And I think the big draw for the Hamster Combat and these coin things is the integration on Telegram. Like they got almost 1 billion users.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So I think that's the thing. And it's interesting. I think more platforms will come out with it. But this is part of the reason, right? A small part of the reason why the Ton Coin and the whole Telegram open network system, ecosystem is very intriguing to me is because of how quickly they've been able to onboard people for stuff like this. And, you know, we did it together the other day, Rocco, just prompting a wallet on Telegram.
Yeah.
And it just walks you through the steps. Bam, there you go. Now you have a wallet active. And so I think that's the route we're going in crypto is ease of use, onboarding users.
I know what is funny about it. That was so easy that I was overcomplicated. I was thinking that you have to download it instead. You just prompted.
Yeah.
It was too easy to understand. And that's absurd, but that's what happened.
Because we're so used to complicated things.
Yeah, now it was okay. Now I got to download, copy, seed phrase.
Start to get weird. Like, this is too easy. Something's wrong.
There's too something wrong.
All right. You know what's also very easy? It's easy for Germany to just crazy sell their Bitcoin. Well, they're almost done.
They're almost over. Yeah.
Their stash is going to zero. They sent another 2,000 BTC to the exchanges. At this rate, they'll be done by the end of the day. I read somewhere they have around $280 million left of Bitcoin to sell. But guess what? As Germany's been selling, Mr. 100 has been buying 700 more Bitcoin on July 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 600 Bitcoin or 700 Bitcoin in a 2-day period from July 9th to July 11th. Also, today is 7-Eleven. It's Slurpee Day. So if you have a 7-Eleven in your neighborhood, which I'm assuming if you live in America, there's probably one around the corner, go get yourself a free Slurpee. Take my kids there.
Yeah, sure. I've been spamming all the German accounts, try to, copy paste my Bitcoin address, and just in case they're gonna forward some Bitcoin by mistake.
Then ask you to send it back.
I will send it back. No,
yeah, I won't send it back either. That's why they lost in the Euros. And then we have this. So MicroStrategy does a 10-to-1 stock split. Now, if you're not familiar with a stock split, what this essentially means is, hey, the price of our stock has gone too high. We can't really attract a lot of investors, so we're going to do a split. So for every one MicroStrategy stock you hold, we're going to give you 10 of them. So you're essentially now you're not diluting the value because, hey, if you have $1 million from 10 shares, you'll have $1 million from 1,000 shares or 100 shares. So same valuation, but the idea is to bring the price per share down and to raise money. And of course, Forrest, when we talk about MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor raising money, what is the first thing we think he's going to do when he raises said money? Is to buy BTC. Any thoughts on this, Forrest? Do you think Michael Saylor is gearing up to buy more Bitcoin?
Yeah, I'm sure he'll issue more debt as soon as he's able to and continue to buy Bitcoin. That seems to be a strategy. Stock splits are generally like mildly bullish. They don't like increase or decrease or change the fundamentals of a company. It's just unit economics are become a little bit more attractive. Same reason like meme coins, price the supply. So, or they use unit bias to like make it look really, really cheap. Bitcoin looks expensive at $60,000. Dogecoin at 9 cents looks a lot cheaper. People are just more they feel like they're getting more Dogecoin for their money, even though like the two are kind of unrelated. So they can be mildly bullish. But yeah, I'm sure Mr. Saylor will just continue to issue debt and buy Bitcoin and leverage up, add more leverage to the system. What could go wrong?
Forrest, I kind of want to ask you. So I want to share my Bitcoin chart here, and so I got a 4-hour. It's got the Bollinger Bands. Looks like we're kind of getting tight on these Bollinger Bands. But Forrest, without pulling up a chart, what are your thoughts on the current sentiment of the market? Do you think we're kind of making a turn here for the better? The whole Germany FUD is going away. Mt. Gox FUD is still there, but it's kind of tampered down a little bit. We have made previously two. Looks like actually this kind of looks like a head and shoulders pattern here, huh? So let me remove these Bollinger Bands. So you got right shoulder, head, maybe like a mini shoulder, kind of not, maybe not really. Anyways, what's your thoughts on the market sentiment, Forrest? And do you think we're getting ready for a big move to the upside? Do you think the bottom's in?
Yeah, my base case is that this whole consolidation that we're in does resolve to the upside. I am bullish for a variety of reasons. One being, I think Germany's almost out of Bitcoin to sell. I think that's been pushing price down significantly. When you're talking about like the last 4 days, $500 to $600 million in Bitcoin being just sold straight into the market at a very fast pace, like, yeah, that's going to push price down. It's going to make it very difficult for price to go up. The fact that we've held steady for the last, week or so, or, since July 4th, yeah, it's been about a week since we bottomed out. The fact that we haven't made a new low in a week, despite Germany accelerating their pace of selling, to me is bullish. We still have, headlines that could, Mt. Gox distributions to go out. I believe some have gone out, but not all of them. So if another wave hits, that could be, minorly bearish. I'm not saying with 100% certainty that the bottom is in. I could see a situation where we go and take another stab at 53K or even 50K. But I do think it's a fair place to be bidding and a smart place to be bidding, as long as you're not using an insane amount of leverage and you have a multi-month time frame. I think when we get to those, when we get to Q4, and the headline is 15 billion in FTX distributions going out, people are going to look at that as 5 times the amount as what the Germany selling has been. Going back into cash, going back into the hands of the FTX victims that are crypto users, crypto natives. So yeah, for a variety, CPI just came in low. I think risk assets may be re-rated to the upside here. You have a crypto friendly president that is very polling to 60% to win the election, which in polling terms 60% is pretty much in the bag. A variety of like tax selling incentives, which I won't get into the specifics of, that are really, really favorable going into August, September, and October. So a lot of reasons to be bullish here. Just be careful. It's a volatile market. I mean, we could get a Mt. Gox headline that pushes us down to a new low, but I think anywhere below 59,000 is a reasonable place to be allocating to crypto here for the next couple months.
I want to share this. So this is at the Santa Monica Pier. The big Ferris wheel is a Bitcoin logo.
Beautiful. Love that.
So also I want to give an update. So I got some good news for Ashley. Ashley, you said you were having a hard time reading. I have good news for you. This new book by my friend Billy Goat Tales, actually very short text and has pictures.
Ooh.
So I will give this to you when the show is over, and
Goody.
we can work on your reading.
I'm gonna prompt on the chat the link for the Amazon. So
yeah, I bought a few copies. Give some of my boys a read. I got one for Rob and Rocco, and maybe we'll do a couple giveaways here. So excited for that. I want to go look at the rest of the markets here. So again, Bitcoin pretty flat, 57,800, has not moved in the last hour, up 0.5% over the last 24 hours. ETH over $3,100 as the ETF draws near. BNB $530. You got some BUSD news. What a sham that was, huh? Solana $138.70 as Firedancer is in the final stages of testnet. XRP 44 cents. Toncoin number 8, surpassing Doge at $18 billion market cap, $7.22. Dogecoin at 10 cents. Cardano rounding out the top 10, up 3.46%. The biggest gainer in the top 10 over the last 24 hours, just shy of 40 cents. So that is your top 10. Anything here that kind of stick out to you, Forrest? And what are your thoughts on alt season? Bitcoin dominance has dropped a little bit once it prompts up. I think it's under 52%, if I'm not mistaken. And so, how do you foresee altcoin season? And is there any specific sectors you're maybe more bullish on than others?
Yeah, so I think what you want to pay attention to for alt season is ETH Bitcoin and then Sol Bitcoin, right? So if ETH and Solana start outperforming Bitcoin, that's a really good sign. Both of those charts are actually pretty decent right now. Both Solana and ETH holding up pretty well in this latest downturn for Bitcoin. We've got the Ethereum ETF coming up. The big, aside from the Mt. Gox distribution, which I think is an unknown as far as with the pacing of how that's going to go out in the headlines and how much fear that could potentially cause. The big unknown is how much Grayscale ETH is going to get sold. We saw a ton of Grayscale Bitcoin get sold in the first days of the Bitcoin ETF going live. How much Grayscale ETH is going to come go out and be sold, and then how much how big are the inflows going to be into this ETH ETF? If any of those things, if that all shakes out bullish, if the inflows are high and the outflows from Grayscale ETH are low, then I think it's full blown alt season. Then I think ETH is going to perform really, really well, reprice to the upside. $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 ETH means altcoins are probably going to go crazy. I would want to be positioned in Ethereum and Solana ecosystems. I don't really care to go much further outside of that. TON is a Telegram open network. TON is a very interesting developing ecosystem that I think could potentially get a little bit of a narrative if we do see an alt season. But I would be focused primarily on Ethereum beta and Solana beta. And then the other caveat is Dogecoin. I still am a very big fan of Dogecoin, and I don't think any market cycle is complete without Dogecoin running pretty hard, and we haven't seen that yet. I think Dogecoin is one of the best barometers of the appetite for risk in the crypto market. The appetite for risk in the crypto market goes up significantly across the board. I think Dogecoin runs pretty high. You also have like the Elon Musk stuff, the X stuff, and ETF in the works. So bullish on Doge on a longer term time frame.
Forrest, Rob and I had this conversation yesterday, so I put out a post. What are 3 coins in the top 50 that won't make new all-time highs? To which you replied, most won't. Better question is, which ones will? To which I said, let's discuss tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is today. It's here. So, Forrest, what are your thoughts on the top 50, right? You know the top 10. You got the likes of Polkadot, Avalanche, Chainlink, Litecoin, Polygon, ICP, Aptos, Stellar Lumens, Render, Hedera, Filecoin. Any of these stand out as far as, hey, I definitely don't think this will make a new all-time high, or if you want to go the route you put in that post, which ones will make new all-time highs?
Yeah, I think the case for all-time highs is so much harder to make than the case for most of these not reaching all-time highs. Like, who's gonna buy this junk? Most of it's just junk. I mean, like, what is the case for them making all-time highs? Bitcoin going to 300K? I don't think Bitcoin's going to 300K. That's a different discussion. I think it 90 to 100, 120. And if we get $90,000 to $120,000 Bitcoin, like I don't think Filecoin's going to all-time highs. I just don't. Like, you look at most of these coins in the top 50 are very hot, like low, like they're not fully distributed. They have tons of supply and emissions coming out of the back end. And then just in general, if you look at crypto holistically, you get a ton of saturation and dispersion. Like, where's all the new inflows of money coming into, right? It's not going into Filecoin and Leah. I don't even have a list up. It's not going into, like, who do you know that's entering this space and is just immediately buying like Arbitrum? Arbitrum just dipped below its bear market lows. I think it's still below its bear market lows at like 70 cents. So it's like, who's coming into crypto and saying like, I want to buy Arbitrum? I don't think, just about anybody is. I think, there's 2 types of investors coming into this space. There's, the TradFi investors that are going to allocate to Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe 3 types. And then you've got your kind of, your TradFi investors that are investing their own money, and they're probably going to be Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, right? And maybe they play around with a couple of, larger caps, but most of their money is going to be allocated to Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana. And then you've got the degens, you've got the meme coiners. I think that like you've got the 2 extremes in the market right now as far as market participants, and stuff that's just down the middle, like, layer 2s and utility plays and alternative layer 1s, it just isn't attractive. It's like, I can't make a case for Polkadot right now. I really can't. I can't make a case for a lot Litecoin. What's the Litecoin maybe gets an ETF, but now that Ethereum has the ETF, it's like Litecoin not that attractive in terms like what's the case for Polygon? It's just competing with all these other L2s. Is that not to say that Polygon sucks? It's just it's competing with Arbitrum. It's competing with all the Optimism. It's competing with all these other layer 2s. Like, what's the differentiator that makes me want to put my money into Matic over gambling on a meme coin or just sticking to the solid Bitcoin, ETH, Solana stuff? I think the stuff down the middle is a tough sell right now. And there's some strong ones in there. Like Kaspa is pretty much at all-time highs, right? It's not far off all-time highs. Like there are some strong ones in there, but it's like, how's Ethereum Classic going to make all-time highs? Like, what Ethereum Classic? Like, who's coming in and being like, I'm just going to fade Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana. I'm going to fade all these meme coins that are going through the roof. I'm just going to allocate to Bitcoin Classic, or I'm sorry, not Bitcoin, Ethereum Classic. How's that thing going to make an all-time high? I just don't see it. I mean, it's going to $125. Doubt it.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not? It's got mining, bro. Mining, man. I was going to ask you, Forrest, your thoughts on Polygon, coming into this bull market, early 2023, late 2022. I was very bullish on Polygon, but kind of 50-50 now as far as what it can do. And I think part of it for me was what you said as far as, hey, there's so much competition now, but also I kind of think they're trying to do too much at once. They paid all this money to Starbucks for their NFT thing. That fell by the wayside. They paid all that grant money to bring those DeGods NFTs into their ecosystem. They left. So I'm like 50-50 on Polygon. Do you want to expand on maybe your thoughts? You started talking about it and then kind of went on to the ETH Classic. But any other insight you can give on Polygon and where you stand with the project?
Yeah, I guess the way I'd put it is like, Polygon sells cheeseburgers and Arbitrum sells cheeseburgers, just like McDonald's and Wendy's both sell cheeseburgers. It's like and they can all be successful, but like what makes a new investor want to come into this space? And what they look at the chart and what Polygon is doing, and they look at the competition and they say, I want to allocate, like for the price of anything to go up, you have to have people come in behind you and buy it after you've already bought it. You need a lot of people with a lot of money to come in and buy Matic behind you after you have for it to go up in price. At this point, it's like, I don't see the inflows. And it's not to say Matic's a bad project. I think it's a good project. And I think they're going to continue to have wins. But as far as like what makes holding that token just attractive to new people and new money entering the space? And I just don't know. Like, I can't answer that question. It's like, what is it specifically about Matic, and why are people going to buy Matic over Arbitrum and Optimism? And then why are they going to buy Arbitrum and Optimism or Matic over Bitcoin, Solana, ETH, or over meme coins that are going through like this big meme coin cycle and are going through the roof? I think if you want like exposure to crypto, you probably fall into two categories. The conservative side, where you just want to buy, Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, or the super high risk side, where you're going to be gambling in degenerate meme coin stuff. And I just don't, I don't know that there's enough middle of the road investors that really are allocating towards the middle of the road stuff. I just can't answer the question of like, who's going to buy this behind me? And why are they going to buy it? Like, I can't think of a good, solid reason to buy any of this stuff, to be honest. And that, to me, is why I think the middle of the pack stuff is probably going to underperform. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be like the super volatile meme coin stuff that goes through this is just essentially gambling, and just the solid like Bitcoin, Solana, ETH portfolio that just really performs very well. And then I think there's some opportunities like, okay, Solana ecosystem opportunities. What's the biggest DEX on Solana? Jupiter. Well, Jupiter has a token. I think there's logical beta plays on Solana and on Ethereum, but I don't know that the layer 2s on ETH are the play. I think there's going to be some protocols and some meme coins that track well with Ethereum. But again, the stuff that has multi-billion-dollar fully diluted valuations that doesn't have a strong case, or just doesn't have a ton of TVL and a ton of activity on the chain. Like I think that stuff's going to suffer.
Interesting take, and I kind of tend to agree with what you're saying. You brought up the whole meme coin craze gambling. I mean, the Mirage is closing in 30 days, and they're saying, hey, between the hours of 5 and 7, we're giving away $200,000 if you gamble. And guess what? There's a freaking line out the door. I think it's only going to be exemplified more as people's financial situation, as debt continues to soar and interest rates, and people are still struggling. It's like people are like, should I go to dinner this week, or should I take that $100 and throw it into a meme coin and maybe try to 10 or 100x it? I think that's only going to grow, and I tend to kind of agree with you, Forrest. What I want to talk about next is this. So this was pretty big when it came down. You guys remember Binance had a stable coin called BUSD that was minted and essentially ran by Paxos, a New York regulated company that issues stable coins. They also issue the PayPal stable coin. And so the SEC files a Wells notice pretty much saying, hey, you should stop, doing this BUSD thing. So they did. They let the market cap bleed off. They essentially Binance essentially let go of their stable coin. And guess what? Now the SEC's like, yeah, we're not going to sue you. It's fine. But too little, too late. So on July 11th, Paxos announced that it received an investigations termination notice from the SEC a few days earlier on July 9th. The notice confirmed that the regulator would not pursue enforcement action against Paxos regarding the BUSD stablecoin. And I want to share a insight here from Iran from Crypto Banter. He said, how is this okay? The SEC literally destroyed a business that had over $20 billion in total value locked and was making over $1 billion by forcing the issuer to shut it down, to only then drop the case after it was dead. The conspiracy here for us is, they're trying to make way and clear the playing field for the likes of Circle, for the likes of PayPal. Maybe a bank issues a stable coin. What are your thoughts on how this whole thing kind of played out for us?
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty direct attack on Binance, right? They also got CZ in prison for a couple months. I think he's still in there. Maybe a couple months left, maybe like around halfway through his term. It's pretty blatant. Like, they obviously didn't want to actually litigate. Like, what's the point in them actually? They accomplished their goal. Like, there's no coming back from that. All the TVL is gone. They shut down the stable coin. Like, what does actually litigating and going to court from here on out actually do? So of course they're just going to drop it, and they accomplish their goal of hindering Binance's ability to operate in the space. So yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty blatant, and this goes back to why the potential change in administration to a crypto friendly administration is so important and bullish for the space.
Speaking of crypto-friendly regulation and people, so this news just came out. So we know the former FDIC chair, Martin Greenberg or whatever, who was also there during the Obama administration. If you remember, during the Obama administration, there was Choke Point 1.0, where multiple industries like the cannabis industry were essentially shut off from the banking system. Round 2 was the crypto industry was shut off from the banking system, led by the FDIC chair. Now a new nominee, Goldsmith Romero, says banks can custody digital assets. We know the SOB 121 ruling from the SEC. Congress voted. They passed to overturn it, but got vetoed by President Biden. They tried to do a 2/3 majority vote in the House, and it failed. That news came out today. So a lot of people speculating on, more people have flipped. And we saw it was majority Republicans that supported repealing it, and majority Democrats didn't support repealing it. On the back end, with the attempt to get that 2/3 majority, they failed again. Majority Democrats voted against it, which makes sense. They don't want to vote against party lines or cross party lines to vote with, although some did. But I think it's safe to say, whether it's Biden or Trump, I think the narrative is definitely, if it's Trump, the narrative is going to change. But even if it's Biden again, I think that there's enough pressure for the narrative to change, and I think this is one thing to kind of point out too. You have any thoughts on all this, Rocco?
Eventually, everybody's gonna fall in line. That's my thought. So it's just a matter of time, and you will see little change. People opposed to each other, even in politics. But eventually, in the future, I think that it can go back. That's what's gonna happen. So, yeah, we're gonna have a little push, but here and there. But
Nothing
that's
crazy.
no. That's what I'm thinking about. It's just the process of when things change, the technology, and eventually, then the people are going to realize, okay, we cannot do it without it, live without it, and everybody's going to conform. And 20 years from now, you're going to look back, so, oh my God, why would they be so negative about it? Why didn't it just do it earlier? Why didn't it adopt the system before? Like everything else, like a technology. If we go back to the buggy and the cars, they were not even a stoplight. And they had to implement it because otherwise, when the car were implemented, there were no stoplight on the street and people didn't know how to work the traffic. So that's part of all the ecosystem is being built now, and the people are looking at this stuff like it's crazy, but it's not. That's what the future is about.
And it's only going to become more and more practical, I think.
Yes, it's going to be easier. Yeah, of course.
Forrest, I want to ask you, I got a reading the chat here from Rusty Bot said, what do you think about Ondo? What are your thoughts on Ondo, Forrest? And I asked Rob this question yesterday. What's going to be a bigger narrative in this cycle? Is it RWA or is it going to be AI? Maybe speak to that as well if you can.
I think RWA is ultimately bigger than AI personally, mainly because who's behind it, Rock. And there's another one. I don't know if it's JP, like another big bank, or maybe it was Morgan, like somebody's launching a tokenized
Goldman
protocol.
Sachs.
I think RWA is ultimately going to be bigger. Who was it?
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs. Okay, yeah. Goldman Sachs is looking to tokenize stuff on the blockchain. So yeah, I'm not saying AI is not big, but I think it's like less tangible and harder to understand and nail down on like what's actually useful in the AI narrative. Usually you have like a lot of bloat. I think BitTensor, or was it Tau? TAO has just been like down 90% already. And it's just because I feel like a lot of people did just like, it was AI, branded, and everyone was like in this AI craze, but nobody actually understood what it did. So I think you'll have a lot of that. Whereas RWA is like pretty like if you're tokenizing gold on the blockchain or tokenizing stocks on the blockchain, like you can kind of like the average person can wrap their mind around that. And just like BlackRock's massive and Morgan Stanley's massive. And I think like BlackRock recently is like filed to build or start an exchange, like a stock exchange that's going to compete with the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, and they're going to run it out of Texas. And it sounds like they may, build it on the blockchain. That's speculation, but I just think it's going to be massive. Ondo's a tough one because you get into this like low float, high fully diluted valuation token VC coin that like a lot of people have been burned on. And we see these time and time again, they pump and then they just dump off because you have all these VC unlocks and they just VCs dump on retail. But at the same time, it's, if I'm not mistaken, backed by BlackRock. So you have kind of those two opposing forces that, make it a tough decision. I've traded Ondo a few times, but it's not something that I'm comfortable holding. It's like only 15% of the supply is circulating. So there's a lot of tokens yet to be dumped. Could do really, really well, and has done really, really well so far this cycle. It's been a leader, but it's not something that I feel comfortable holding because of all those tokens still to be unlocked. So,
Forrest, do you agree? I agree with you, but do you also agree that during raging bull markets, these token unlocks have a much lesser impact on the price than, let's say, when the markets are kind of slow or sideways or in a bear market?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like in a bear market, it's just like straight down and like, VCs immediately sell and there's like no bid to support it. So like these low float, these high fully diluted valuation, low circulating supply tokens, like they can do well in a bull market and they can pump pretty hard. And that's why I just choose to trade them, right? Like you can trade them, for a swing trade or a scalp or something like that. But I don't want to have them in my portfolio because if I get caught bag holding them, they're just straight down. You don't get a lot of bounces out of them, and they're tough holds. So I think it's a really good asset to be paying attention to in trading. But it's for my personal preferences. I like long term. The thesis is because it's low circulating supply, it's probably going to go down. in the long term versus up, because 90% of the tokens haven't been issued yet. The inflation rate is going to be insane. I don't want to hold something that I think is going to go down in the long term, especially in a bear market. So for me, I'm just trading them.
Why not? It's fun. It's like a roller coaster, you know, except you lose a lot of money. Forrest, I got your, I'm in that Research Hub Discord. I saw what you posted. Super excited. Very interesting thoughts on what you think the next meta is going to be. And so why do I say that? I say that because the man on your screen does an absolutely amazing job doing research. And if you want to be part of that Research Hub and get all the information that the people who are subscribed, and it's not just what's already been running hot, we should get in, and then, oh my God, it goes down. It's like, hey, what are we expecting, or what does the research say that we can make a lot of money on, or at least get a positive EV on our money, a positive return? And so this is what you can get with the Research Hub. And as part of our community, Forrest was generous enough to offer you guys a 25% discount. So if you want to be part of the Research Hub, get all the information directly emailed into your inbox. Click that link to the top and use that code, and you'll save 25% off. And I talk about this all the time, and I'll say it again. Forrest, it is thanks to you. My first 100x in crypto was a Trump coin, and that was a pick I got from the Research Hub. So big thank you for that. My wife also wants to say thank you because every time I show her when Trump pumps, she's like, oh my God. Great. That'll do it for the show today. Rob is out till Thursday, but we got good news. We got an amazing team. So you'll have me, Rocco, Forrest, and Ashley for the next 5 days with the little sprinkle edition of our friend Chase as well. And so super excited. If you haven't watched our ICP video yesterday, go watch it. It was a really, really good one. And then we have a Cardano one coming out tomorrow. A lot of things happening in Cardano, a lot of whale movement. It's a lot of like the social sentiments starting to shift a little bit. And of course, Chang hard fork is almost ready. I think the end of next week, we should see Chang hard fork go live. What's the importance of that? Voltaire, governance, close to $1 billion in ADA treasury being unlocked. Will the Cardano community vote to spend it like the Polkadot community did? Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. So with that being said, Rocco, do you want to do the honorary tornado finger?
No, I don't want to do the tornado finger. At least for once I'm here, no.
I will do in your honor, Rocco, an Italian tornado finger. Ashley!
You said in Italian. Let's see, since you're Italian so good.
The finger.
Oh, it's the finger.
Ashley! Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It was an absolute pleasure to spend our morning with you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and come back tomorrow. Same place, same time. We love you guys. Until then, peace.
You know how tornado is in Italian?
Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the whale members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya, to the moon, then to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.